Now I want to backtrack a little bit because I want to set this up a certain way. So at the end, we're helping the teens be able to see how it all planned out, because I like step-by-step processes.
Okay.
I like plans. I like people be able to see getting from point A to point B, right? So we said we started at 9 years old. What was it that made you realize hair was the thing? Were you for sure certain that's what you were going to do for the rest of your life? Was it just something like, oh, I just kind of enjoy doing? What, if you can think back to that time, what stood out about hair that you was like, that's what I want to do?
Well, honestly, I remember writing 3 things down in my journal that I wanted to do. Okay. So number 1 was a beautician, because back then that's what we called them. Number 2 was a fashion designer. And number 3 was a music producer. And I really went into all 3 of those things before taking hair as, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So in high school, my dad, he made me. I didn't have a choice, but he made me go to Performing Arts High School. High School of Performing and Visual Arts, and I went there for vocal. And I believe that sometimes parents have their own dreams and they want their kids to live their dreams. But, I said, okay, you know what? He is the parent, so I got to listen. So I went to the school. It wasn't
that easy. You didn't give up that easy.
I didn't give up that easy, but, I didn't have a choice.
Of course. In the end.
I was in the 9th grade. So, I went to HSPVA, and I just was so adamant, like, I want to do hair. I want to do hair. I kept telling that to them, my dad and my mom, but eventually my dad was like, okay, all right, we're going to let you do hair. So when it was the opportunity for me to transfer schools, it was too late. I had transferred at a later date than I should have to be able to complete the program, but I was done with singing. So I said, you know what, I'm going to just go to another school. So I went to a different school, and at that school I tried a sewing class. I was in the class, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this.
What was it about the sewing, though?
It didn't really bring me joy. I just felt like it was a task. I didn't love it. When I was doing it, I'm like, oh, okay, I got to do this again. I didn't have the feeling of, oh, I love doing this, and this is so fun. I learned that I just like to dress cute and not make the clothes. So I kind of figured out, okay, let me try hair. And so once I graduated school, my dad was like, okay, if you still want to do it, once you graduate, I'll pay for cosmetology. And so I graduated, and I'm like, Dad, I'm ready. And so he's like, okay. And he paid for me to go to cosmetology school, and I went through the program. And, well, honestly, once I started in August of 2009, actually, I started the cosmetology program. And shortly after, 3-4 months after, I got a job at a salon. So I knew then that, okay, this is really what I'm passionate about doing.
Okay. So I like this type of stuff, because even though I am your brother, I'm looking back on the situation, and I'm just like, wow, I'm seeing how things are panning out. I didn't even know that fashion was a part of the plan at first, because you got a job at a interior design place. I mean, it's kind of
it was like a home furnishing store, but they had fabrics and little knickknacks and stuff like that. So I still did.
It could be underneath a fashion category in a sense. Okay, so I think that speaks so much volume, because there's so many people, especially teens out there, that don't know what they want to do. They don't have any clue. Like myself, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do until years after college. So the fact that you had 3 things and you wrote it down in a journal. I need y'all to be taking notes. She wrote it down in a journal. She wrote 3 things down in a journal. Now, how did you pick these things?
I think it was just things that I loved, because even though I didn't want to sing per se, I still have a love for music. Okay. And even when I went to the Performing Arts High School, I was in a girl group. We wrote songs, we did music, we recorded music as well. And I just was like, this is too much work. I just, I want to sing just because I just feel like it, not because I have to sing, So it's just a lot of things that I kind of learned in the midst of going through the process of trying everything that I desired to do or thought I did desire to do.
That is huge. That is huge. Like, write down. So here's the first thing. Write down. First thing, write down what is it that you want to do. You may have a list of 10 things, but if you just write it down, get a journal somewhere, write it down, it'll help you because now you can say, all right, I want to go and do this. Let's try this out. Let's take 6 months and try this out. See how I feel. And what you were able to do was when you got into a certain thing that was on your list, you tested it out, you tried it. You didn't just do it for a month. How long? Because I think you were doing the music for a good little minute.
Yeah, I was at HSPVA for about a little over 2 years. So I did my freshman year and my sophomore year and a portion of my junior year.
Okay.
There.
And then you had the girls singing group.
Yes,
How long
we had
was
the
that?
girls singing group for about a year and a half.
Okay.
We did that for some time too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you took about, let's just say, a total of 3 years in music, figuring that out. Then you realized you self-reflected. It was like, how do I feel when I'm doing this? I don't really feel, because that's what we talk about in Uplift and Outreach is whenever you're finding your passion and your true joy, you want to ask yourself, like, what makes me happy? What brings me true joy? Not just am I having fun, but joy on the inside.
Yeah.
And when you find that thing, that's when it can take you to the next level, right? So like I said, you wrote it down in your journal. You tested it, you tried it out, tried this out, tried that out. But then when it got to hair, it was like, bam. It just kind of flowed. So talk to me about how it felt on the inside when you first started doing hair. Not when you were 9, but after you wrote it down on your list and you were realizing that this is the thing that I want to do. This is the thing that I'm passionate about. Talk about that feeling, because if you cannot recognize that, then you will never know that's something that can take you a long way as your passion.
Yeah. Well, I would say it just felt like I wasn't really working per se. I just felt like I was doing something that I loved, and if money wasn't a factor, I wouldn't have charged for it. I would have just did it because I love doing it, you know. But since we live in the real world, it comes with a cost.
Yeah.
But I back then at that time, since money wasn't such a big issue, my parents were taking care of me. I was living at home. I just really needed a part-time job to kind of take care of my necessities. So the really focus really was that it brought me joy.
Yeah.
And I was just really happy doing it. And I love the reaction that I got from the clients after their service was done.
Love the reaction. That's big. Love how you make people feel, because you did say you wanted to, in a time where you were wanting to get more clients, you would always try to cater to them. So you had to like really see how how they felt and how you made them feel. And so just by in that moment, you're seeing they looking in the mirror, smiling, that probably just brought you so much joy in that time.
Yes.
Yeah. So like that is so big. And one thing I wanted to add to this that a lot of people may not have, and that's that support system. Now, you said our dad said after you finish high school, was it a year or 2 years after you finished high school, if you
Just
still
immediately after.
Okay, so if immediately after high school, if you still was interested in cosmetology, he will pay for it. That is so big and so critical. And I understand everybody might not have that opportunity. They may not have that dad or that mom in their life, but it's always good to have somebody as your support system. Always good to have somebody. And if you don't have someone, then network.
Yep.
Put yourself around great people that may be a little bit older than you that want to see you do your best. And you'll see that people will want to support you in what you do. So that's just a nugget I wanted to throw in there. If you don't have that support system like you did, then go find that support system.